Welcome to the Oh Hell No podcast, where Kay Nicole delivers a daily dose of inspiration by discussing passion, purpose, and struggle with people who are living their best life doing what they love. Here's Nicole.
Hey everyone, it's your girl Kay Nicole, and I am back. We are back from a little break, and today we have Kendra Porter. Welcome, Kendra.
Thank you. It's so good to be here. Happy New Year.
Yes, Happy New Year. You are my first guest for 2019, and I'm very happy to have you.
Woohoo!
So, Kendra manages the personal shopping office for Bloomingdale's, and she runs a page on Instagram called Honor Your Style. So, today we're going to get up close and personal with Kendra and find out a little bit about her journey. So the first question I'd like to ask is, when did you discover that fashion was your passion?
You know, it's interesting. I think it goes all the way back to high school. So I actually own a company, a personal imaging styling company called Honor You, and hence the tag Honor Your Style for all of my social media. But when I started to look at starting a business, I wanted to own a boutique, and it was back in high school when I was, I went to an all-girls school. I was 5'9", thick, played sports, bigger than all the other girls. And I wanted to have a jean boutique because for me, it was trying to find jeans that fit was always a challenge. And I said, well, no, I want to own my own personalized jean shop where, different jeans fit different body types, and you can have a seamstress or an alterations on hand and tailor so that they can make things work for you and getting that perfect fit for your body. And so I think it started back in high school, honestly.
Wow. Okay. All right. So when did you develop your own personal style? Because, high school is always tough, right? Because we're still trying to figure it out and kids are so mean. So when did you develop a sense of style and get comfortable and embrace that and just say, this is me, I'm here, and I don't really care what anybody thinks about what I'm wearing?
I want to say when I can say that I'm truly, I was cognizant of it, I was probably about 12. And it was that period in time where, you want to dress and you want to be stylish and you want to be fashionable. But I also went to an all-girls school. So I was in uniforms Monday through Friday.
Wow.
So when I wasn't in uniform, then it was Saturday when I was probably in another uniform because I played sports. And then Sunday when I was at church and then at home. So there was not lots of time to have your own sense of style, but it was on those occasions of, okay, well, I don't have to wear my uniform today. So what am I going to wear? And really trying to figure out who I was. I think my style, of course, like anybody else, it evolves over time. And when I think back to high school and preteen years, I was a metalhead.
Wow.
So it went from, it actually went from the LA girl look with bodysuits and denim shorts and cutoffs and spandex underneath, right? God, I'm dating myself at this point. But it went from the LA girl look to very grunge, very all black, silver metal chains, into then I think this evolution of sophistication. And I say sophistication only because I attended church, I always had to be I was in a suit at 12 years old. And so I wore suits to church. I wore suits with my mother if I, went to work with her on days off. So then it started to evolve into more of a sophisticated style, but still wanting to be my own self.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because my mom reflects back. My mom will say, I had issues with my weight and trying to find things and find clothing. And it was, like I said, I was the girl who was 5'9", and had a thick body. And so trying to find clothes that fit, that were also still my style, that were still young and hip, and all of those things were challenges. And so it was knowing that I could look good and I could have my own sense of style, but trying to figure that out. And so there was an inner, I hate to say calling, but an inner self that said, no, you are beautiful, despite what the quote unquote norms were, but kind of sort of going back and forth between what I feel like and what I feel is beautiful versus what, society around me or like the other schoolgirls that I went to school look like. And so that became a struggle in high school, or not in high school, I would say in the preteen years. But by the time I got to high school, I think I was self-assured enough in what I look like and embraced that. I liked being like the tallest girl in the classroom, the tallest girl pretty much anywhere, because I also wore heels and I still do. So, I can stand 6'3" in a pair of heels if I'd like.
Right.
But I got to a point where I just embraced all of that. And I knew that I stood out, but I was like, as long as I know that I feel good about myself, then, I'm not really concerned about what everybody else thinks.
And that's pretty good, because it takes a long time to get to that place. A lot of people don't ever feel comfortable in their own skin, especially, with the way they dress or their body type or anything like that. So I commend you for getting to that place early on where you're like, you know what? This is me. I accept me. I'm happy with me. And I don't give a damn, So that's really big. So,
well, and I think it's interesting because while I can look back and think about that time frame, I think you're continuously growing as a person and how you feel about yourself. So I think there are times where you truly embrace who you are, and then there are times that you may struggle with, a particular aspect of who you are. And so, I think people go through cycles, because for sure, while I embraced who I was in high school, I think there's a period in time probably when I got older and was trying to establish myself in the world that I didn't necessarily embrace that person as much. And not necessarily even it's not always even from a physical perspective. I think you go back and forth as to like who you want to be, where you currently are, and striving towards that person. And I think so, I think that's, you are continuously growing, and that's part of the process.
Yeah, that's a valid point too, because it's true. Like when you leave high school and then you get into, college, then that's a whole different world. And then it's like, fitting in, meeting different people, and, then trying to find out who is this college girl, who am I going to be here? And then when you leave college and you go out into the real world and you're working, then it's trying to figure out, what does the working girl look like? You know what I mean? So that's a really good
Right.
point. Yeah. All right. So, what was the first professional experience that put you on this career path? And just walk us through how that evolved.
So funny enough, prior to the world of fashion, for me, I worked in nonprofit. And so I had actually come back to New York and took a job with a nonprofit running their programs, and lost my job twice in 3 years. And at that point, I'd probably been in that world for almost a decade, and said, I've been working for other people for so long. I think it's time to invest in me and take a leap of faith. I was like, I'm not tied to a family. I don't have kids. I don't have a husband. I can take this time and focus on doing something on my own. And so at that point, I had looked at starting my business, and going back to, the thoughts of me in high school about owning my own boutique, started a process, started looking into that. My business mentor at the time said, for everything that you want to do within the store, why don't you consider image consulting? And at the time, I didn't know what that was. Like, everybody kind of sort of knows who a celebrity stylist is and, what they do. But image consulting is more about the people, their lifestyles, their budget, versus as a stylist, you are focused really on the clothes. And so I started to take a look at owning an image consulting company, hence Honor Your Style started, and really embracing that piece of it. For me, when I started Honor You, it was actually an image consulting agency that began for plus size women specifically, because so many women struggled. And as a plus size woman myself, I would always get approached of, where do you shop? Or, ooh, can you help me with this? And for me, it was, I shop where everybody else shops. I just understand what works for my body, understanding the quality and investment pieces and all of those things. So it was really an opportunity that God opened for me and saying, you know what, we're going to push you in a different direction. And so that's honestly the first quote unquote professional experience. I lost my job and decided I wanted to do something on my own.
Wow, that's interesting. So after you started this company, wow, see, now you throwing my questions off, girl. But so now I gotta skip forward.
See, that's what you get. You said no, we're not gonna do prepared questions.
Well, I prepare them, but I don't let you see them because I like for this to be very organic, and that it is. So, all right. So, as a business owner now, tell us about your business and, so when a client comes to you, or how do you seek out your clients? How did you build your clientele? Like, what do you do to get, the people to come to you? Because this seems difficult. Image consulting, like, I hear of that like in the celebrity world, like, just like what you said, but I would have never thought of that as a career, or, how do you even get into that? So here you are starting your own business, following your calling, that's coming to you. So what does that look like?
So luckily for me, I was part of a program for entrepreneurs who were looking at starting their business. And so I had some guidance along the way about, how do you start your business? What do you look at? Looking at the demographics, doing the research. And I'll say this is that because I knew that I wanted to do something specific to plus size at the time, I had already done research. So back when I was in grad school, I had actually started researching, opening up boutiques and doing the demographic information and all of that. So I also have a background in marketing and PR. Mm-hmm. And so for me, it was, how do I leverage that into the business?
So you're telling us how you got this started. So you had a mentor, and then you had research information already. So now you're ready to launch your business. Was this like an online thing only, or did you have an office set up, or how did you, start running this? Like, what did you do?
Running the business.
Yeah.
So part of the conversation with my business mentor was, in having a boutique, it was about, you have to have inventory, you have to have space, you're paying for all of these expenses with a brick and mortar space. And what I really wanted to do was to be able to offer specialized services for all of my customers, right? So understanding what their body shape was, knowing what clothes, what styles, what fits, all of those things. And when he brought up the piece about image consulting, it was, you can do this from anywhere. You don't have to have a space. You can use a home office. You travel to your clients. So for me, that's really where it started. It was, okay, let's create a website. Let's, start to look at developing relationships with, women's organizations and networking. A lot of my initial clients came from me leveraging my experience in marketing and PR. So when I started my company, I was also doing a lot of PR that was going out, and, was able to get on Yahoo and their web pages. So, Yahoo does a feed every day, and that feed uploads. I did a story with them. I was on the front page with a large article. They came, did an interview. We walked through the process with me and one of my clients at the time. I did a couple of different magazine style shoots, putting in quotes, talking about fashion. And a lot of people would read that or see it and reach out to me. Yeah. So a lot of it came from PR and having people say, oh, well, you know what, I like what she's saying, or, this is really interesting. Let me reach out. And that's honestly where I got a lot of my first clients from.
Wow, that is pretty amazing. So the articles, landing the articles and stuff, do you think that was luck, or do you think it was, just the right timing, or what do you think that was? Because a lot of people pitch things to, different
Mhm.
writers, but they picked you. So what do you
Right.
attribute that to?
God,
Right?
right? God and my experience. So prior to, it's funny, like prior to my work in nonprofit, I worked in sports and entertainment. I worked in sports and entertainment doing event marketing, promotions, um, and PR. So it was a lot of what I knew about the industry and how do you reach out? How do you make sure people want to hear your story? How do you spin something? How can you take one story and spin it 5 different ways so it makes sense for each of these different markets? So for me, I think it was a little bit of my skill and a lot of God, because for the amount of publicity and press that I was getting at the time, I had just started. And then shortly after, so this was, let's see, this is February 2011, I started my company. August of that year, Stacey London from the show What Not to Wear, she had a separate company called Style for Hire, and she was doing intensive workshops. And I had decided, I was like, well, who better to learn from than Stacey? Because it was either that or go back to school again. And I already had several other degrees behind me.
Right.
And I said, okay, let me do this workshop. Did the workshop, spent the weekend in New York with her. And what I didn't realize was at the time, once the work was done and completed, she would actually hand select a number of the participants to join her company and come on board. So I came on board as an apprentice because I didn't have the background in fashion, but quickly learned the skills, built my way up to a stylist, and then to the market manager for the New York area.
Wow. Yeah, that's God.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean?
I'm
like
that's
why I always feel like when you're following your path, like things come together as they should because you're on the right path, right? But it's just getting to that right path. That's the thing for a lot of us. Okay, so as a business owner, what would you say you struggled with the most or still struggle with the most?
I think for me, it was once the company was up and running and I started to grow, it was how do you move from phase 1 into phase 2 of your company? How do you grow as your business is growing? And I'm probably, truth be told, I'm honestly a little bit still in that stage, and more so because I was with Stacey's company, shortly after I had started mine. And they really worked as an agency, kind of sort of feeding you clients and opportunities. So I ended up working as an independent contractor, but doing a lot of different projects and so forth and styling because of Style for Hire. When the company closed, I then had to say, oh, wait, I need to refocus on my business. Except for the fact that I had an opportunity to also then come on board as the personal shopper for Lord & Taylor at the time and their fashion advisor out of Connecticut. One of the other stylists, matter of fact, who was with Style for Hire, said, hey, there's a position open. Would you be interested? And for me, it's, a reverse commute from, I'm in New York, but I'm in Westchester County. So from Westchester to Connecticut. And I said, sure, why not? I can still kind of sort of practice my craft, hone my craft, stay there for a year, work on my business, and then move forward. 4 years later, I was like, okay, wait, we need to backtrack and refocus on the business. And so, I recently took the position with Bloomingdale's as their personal shopper because that's here in New York. But then I can focus on that and focus on my own clientele and build my business back in Westchester, back where I live.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point to bring up to people who are interested in starting their own business is that you started your own business, you're working, you're an entrepreneur, but you still took an opportunity with a company. And I just want you to tell us what are some of the pros and cons of doing something like that. So having your own business and then, signing up and taking, going with a company and then also running your business. So tell us maybe 2 pros.
Pros is you have a steady paycheck.
Amen.
Right. Any entrepreneur will tell you, money coming in is not always, everything's cyclical, even in business, right? Every business goes through its cycles. But, I think for me, it was being able to have a steady paycheck and making sure that I had insurance and all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for me, I am lucky enough to have a job that is in sync with my business, right? So as a personal shopper, I work with clients all day about what works best for them. What are they looking for? They're attending an event. They're going here. They're going there. They're looking at getting gifts for someone else. You know, that's part of what I do as an image consultant, working with my clients one-on-one, is going through their closet, what fits, what doesn't, what needs to get tailored, all of those things. So I am blessed enough to be able to have a job that is in sync with what I do, whereas I think there are lots of people who, are in an industry that they no longer care for, and they have this passion project that they want to work on, or they have a dream that they want to work on. And so they feel torn, which I think is a challenge. For me, it's the con piece of it is, you're working all day and then you got to come home and work all night and trying to figure out what that balance is for you, especially if you have a family, if you have other things that you're doing that are in your life. It's trying to find that balance.
Yeah, that's definitely a big thing. But I like that you touched on that, because I think it's important for people who want to start businesses to know that you don't have to give up your 9 to 5. And even if it's not in line with what your passion project is, I listened to a podcast, and this girl that I was listening to, she said something so important. She said, let your full time, be the thing that feeds the money for your side hustle, so you take
Absolutely.
you take money from there to help grow your business. Think of them as an investor, and that's a better way to kind of put your mind in that mind frame, so that you're like, yes, I'm going to my investment company to get that money for my dream. Don't think of it as like, oh God, I have to be here and I hate it. No, you love it because they're investing into your company. So that was really great advice, and I love that. So tell us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's great. So what do you love the most about what you do every day?
My clients. Like, that's not even a question. I do what I do for my clients. And the reason why I started Honor You in particular was because I wanted women to embrace who they are, love who they are, regardless of what size they were. And so, my tagline was, or is, I really should say, honor your shape, honor your style, honor you, because it's about each and every woman embracing who they are. And at this point, my business has grown so much that it's, I don't just cater to plus size. I'm like, if you're a size 2, if you're a size 22, like, there is no reason why you should not feel and look beautiful every single day. And so to work with clients, see them, when they come in, there are clients who have been with me for years now at this point. And so it's so exciting to see them excited about getting dressed, about getting new clothes. You can see the changes in individuals as they try on clothes. If they're tired and then they get energized from that process, or if they love the pieces that they're in, their stance changes, their face changes, they're smiling, they're dancing in the mirror. Like,
yeah,
it just becomes like this love fest, and that's why I do what I do.
Yeah, that is amazing. I mean, a new outfit can just change your life. So
it can.
Yeah, absolutely. So what is the most challenging part of your day?
My clients. Here's why. I think, especially when they're newer clients, it is the challenging piece is getting people to change their perceptions of how they see themselves, about the expectations that they've, set for themselves, and getting them to see themselves differently just across the board. It's like when you're in a really great hairstylist chair, like somehow all of like your boyfriend problems, girlfriend problems, like all of that work, whatever, spills out in the conversations. And it's the same thing that I deal with my clients in the fitting room. But it's also, as you start to listen to the stories, you start to see how that shapes who they think that they are or who they should be. And it's getting them to see themselves differently and talking them through that process and having them try things on and saying, you know what, like, if you don't like it, that's fine. Like, you don't, it's not that you have to buy it, but I want you to try this and try it in this manner so that you can see yourself slightly differently and getting them through that.
Right. Yeah, I can imagine because you'll be like, oh, well, that doesn't really look good on me. I don't want to try that on. I don't think that, just knocking it down before they even try it. And it's like trying to get them to just say, just give it a chance.
Right.
Yeah. So on this journey, what has been the biggest struggle in terms of building your career?
I would say it's riding momentum. So sometimes you'll get into a groove and things are working really well for you. And then it starts to snowball and you're like, oh, there's so many great things that are coming along. And then you start to feel a little overwhelmed because you're like, wait, I was ready, or I thought I was ready.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really kind of sort of having to take a step back and say, okay, like what can I truly handle? What do I have to now say no to? Because I think when you first start, I had the opportunity to meet with a guy who I had met him at a networking event, and he was just like, he's like, if you ever want to grab coffee, we'll go out for coffee. Not knowing who he was at the time. Come to find out that he works strategist for billion-dollar companies, right?
Mm-hmm.
So multi-million-dollar companies, and that's what he does. And so when I was talking about my company and walking him through it, he's like, look, you have to be ready for change and you have to be fluid with your company. Like, know that you have to really be willing to evolve with your company and go with the flow. He's like, it's going to continue to change each and every year based on your clients, based on, the needs of the market. And so at that point, I said, okay, well, then I'm going to say yes to everything. And that'll help me figure out what I do like, what I don't like, because everything is a learning experience in the process of starting your company. But I was saying yes to so many things that it then became a challenge. And then it was also, I had really great opportunities, and it was trying to figure out which were the best opportunities. Do I say no to this opportunity? If I say no, is that person not going to want to work with me in the future? Trying to figure out that balance of which opportunities are the right ones for me, I think continues to be not so much of a struggle, but more of a lesson, right? That you continue to learn as the business grows.
Yeah, definitely, I'm sure. So going back to your styling, how do you help people to figure out what looks best on them and how to continue to pick flattering clothing once they leave you?
So a lot of what I try and teach my clients while they're working with me, and I'll do it either on one-on-one sessions or I'll even do group sessions. Like I actually have several of my clients who are individual clients who like to come to me together because I will go through trends for the season and talk about how do you incorporate this to your wardrobe. I tell people you don't have to buy a whole new wardrobe every single season. You can have pieces that are investment pieces that will continue to last you year after year. It's incorporating the newest trends to keep your wardrobe fresh and modern. And so what I try and teach them is, one, what works best for their individual bodies and their shape, and two, how do you take the current trends and work that into your wardrobe, right? Like you can hate animal print, but love, leopard if it's in hot pink and purple and do it as a scarf, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to do the whole, leopard print in a pair of boots, in a pair of jeans, right? And a shirt. So it's really having people understand their own personalities, right? So everybody's sense of style is different. So it's also, you don't have to not be you, right? You can still be who you are, just incorporating particular styles into your wardrobe.
Okay. Well, that brings me to the oh hell no game. So we're going to play a little fashion oh hell no game. So I'm going to ask you about a couple of, fashion, I don't want to call them trends, but just some questions that I have. And you tell me if it's an oh hell no or if it's okay and how it's okay. You ready?
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I always want to know this. Open toe shoes during the winter. Is that an oh hell no, or is it okay, but there are rules to it?
So I say it's okay, but there are rules to it. So if there's snow on the ground and you're trying to be cute, I'm going to say it's oh hell no. If there's, if there's snow on the ground and everything's plowed and you're going to a special occasion or a special event and you're going from your car to the venue and back, then it's a yes.
Okay. All right. I always struggle with that. I wore some open toe shoes for New Year's Day, but I saw other people with it. So I was like, okay, it's not so bad, but I always feel like conflicted. So thank you. All right. Colored.
And you know what? You can, well, let me say that. Sorry, before you get to your next question, because you can do open toed shoes with tights. So I think that's the other thing that we've been steered away from, right? Like stockings. Right. You don't want sheer stockings necessarily in open toed shoes, but you can do a black tight and a black strappy heel sandal and be good.
See, that's another thing that I'm kind of like, is this okay? So I'm glad you said that. All right. So the next one is colored suede anything. Is it an oh hell no or yes, but there are rules?
No, that's an oh hell yes. Okay. I'm like, leather and suede to me you should always do color. Like I love color. And I probably because I'm also in the industry where you have to like at events you're wearing all black, but I love color. So, I've got red suede boots. I bought one of my clients blue suede shoes. I've got a purple suede skirt. Like, no, color and suede and leather. Absolutely.
Awesome. Onesies for men. Oh, hell no. Or.
Sorry. I'm sorry. Okay. So on a general basis, I would say it's a oh hell no. However, somehow there are particular guys who are very fashion forward who can pull off like a painter's suit, like a painter's, like jumpsuit. Mm-hmm. That I'm okay with in certain respects. Anything else besides that? I'm like, like don't be in a pair of leotards. Like we're not, this isn't Muscle Man. Like,
right. Yeah, it's a look.
It's right. It's a definite look.
Here's another one for you. Clam digger pants for men. Oh, hell no. Oh, hell yes. Or okay, but there are rules.
If you're a hipster, go ahead. Rock out. That's it. Like
I saw a lot of that at this New Year's Day party, and some people pulled it off, and some I was just like, I don't know. I don't know.
Again, right? Part of it's a personality thing. Like you have to have enough swag to be able to do that and do it properly.
Right. Absolutely. Okay. The last one is no pantyhose with dresses and skirts. So like if you're going out and you're wearing a dress or a skirt, is it a faux pas to not wear pantyhose or tights or something? And I'm talking like in the winter.
So, no, it's not a faux pas. I think, so here's where it's not a faux pas. I think there are some people that are still old school, I being one of them, where, you know what, I'm not going to say that you have to wear stockings, right? Like you can wear a dress and be bare-legged and do a pair of heels or a pair of pumps. If you personally do not feel cold, part of it is if you're doing it just to look cute, I'm so past that. Like be appropriate for where you're going and who you're with. And part of it has to do with also age demographics. So, right, if you're in your early 20s and you're going out to a nightclub and you're going down to New York City, you're probably not wearing stockings.
Right.
If you're in your 30s, you're probably not wearing stockings. You might start to consider doing that. And so where you don't have to do a nude stocking, do funky tights. I'm a lover of fishnet hosiery. So do black fishnets, do nude fishnets, do something that's a little bit different and funky with what you're wearing. And I think for women who are older, where they feel like they still want to be relevant, they still want to be modern, they're listening to their daughters who are telling them, no, you shouldn't wear stockings, Mom. Like, you don't have to do that. No, like everybody's not doing that anymore. Like do a true nude for whatever your nude is. Or do fishnets, because I think fishnets can be very classy looking. with a dress. And so if you're looking at doing something that's sheer, you don't do just sheer, just do something with the fishnet.
Yeah, I love fishnet. So sexy, but yet classy. Like it's just,
Right.
Yeah.
Or do the line, like a line of the back of the leg. You can still have hosiery that's sexy, that's sophisticated, that's not, don't do white hosiery, like don't do white stockings, right? Like,
right.
Nobody wants to do that. But, do things that are appropriate that still have some elegance and some class to them.
Awesome. Okay. Well, that concludes the Oh Hell No game for today. So tell us, what does success look like to you?
What does success look like?
Yeah. What's your definition of success?
I think success is being at a place where you're happiest, period. And I say that in that manner because I think some people define success about money. Some people define success about how large their business grows. And I think I've done so many different things in my life and I've experienced so many different cultures. And what I've come to realize is that it is about life to me is about being happy, being surrounded by good people, being surrounded by loved ones, and living your best life in those moments. So that's what success is for me.
Awesome. So do you feel like you are doing your purpose work? And if yes, what specifically do you think that is?
I think I'm on a path to my purpose work. I think this is a journey. I don't think I am at my final destination. So for me, helping women feel good about who they are in the skin that they're in, that's really important to me at this point. And I feel like that's part of my purpose is getting women to see themselves that way. But I think God has something bigger in store. I just don't know what that is. So I feel like this is all part of the journey and I'm along for the ride.
Awesome. That is amazing. I love that. Share an oh hell no moment that has taught you a lesson or changed your perspective on something. So just to give you a little, preface information about oh hell no moments. My definition of an oh hell no moment is a moment where you're taken aback, something happens, someone might say something to you that you're just like, oh my God, I can't believe they just said that, or ask you to do something that you're like, oh my God, I can't believe they just asked me to do that, or anything that just makes you stop and you're like in shock, right? And these moments, I feel like we have them almost daily, right? There's always going to be an oh hell no moment, but some of these moments are very important and significant in our lives and on our journeys. So I want you to share a moment where it taught you a lesson or it changed your perspective on something. And it could be something personal or in your professional life. It doesn't matter.
So one of the things I realized, so like I said, I am the new personal shopper for Bloomingdale's, and I came from Lord & Taylor. And so working in retail is part of the journey, and I would say is new for me, right? Like I didn't come, again, I haven't been in the fashion industry as from a historical perspective of like, this is all what I wanted to do all my life. And working this side of retail, right? Not just with my clients one-on-one with my business, but working in a retail setting is very different than coming out of nonprofit and coming out of a corporate work atmosphere. And it is retail is retail. So retail is all about sales and all about numbers. And I would say it's a reflection on my oh hell no moment. When I first got to Lord & Taylor, my particular store had actually gone full commission. And so there was a lot of angst amongst employees and not really sure where that would take them because they're used to getting, a set salaried amount, or they were used to getting, X amount of dollars every day for the hours that they worked. Now it was all based on commission. And so they were put in a very different position in that work environment. And coming in as the new person, the person prior to me could work across the floor, work in any department, and no one really cared because they weren't working based off of sales. When I came in, again, my position was also sales driven, but now their numbers changed and how they had to work changed. And so I would always get the side eye from people. And I'm all about working in a team environment, even though my position is, in an office and really work solo, but you have to work with people on the floor. You have to develop those relationships to work within departments. And it was always a struggle for me at that point, trying to understand, why people didn't necessarily care for me to be in their department at the time. And I understood it, but it was also like, how do we make this work? And I think that was something that I struggled with while I was at Lord & Taylor. What's interesting is that coming into Bloomingdale's, same type of environment, but now I've had the history of working at Lord & Taylor and knew coming in, this is what's to be expected. And so those moments where I would come into departments or, people may say things or any of those things, it no longer affected me. Like I was like, well, no, this is just the way it is. And this is retail and this is how this works. And so it's funny because I had another associate who saw me and said, well, wow, like, how do you do that? And I said, what are you talking about? And she's like, well, how do you just let things roll off your back and not address, another associate if they, said something wrong, or not even necessarily wrong, but just in a disrespectful manner, or was trying to just really cause friction.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it was, this is the game. Like, this is what happens. I know that I can only be held accountable to myself and my actions. And so as long as I know that I'm doing the right thing and I'm treating everyone equally and I'm respecting everyone's space, that's all I can really judge, right, my situations by. However they react is however they react. As long as I know that I'm doing the right thing, you got to keep it moving. And it's funny because not that I didn't notice it, I didn't think other people noticed. And so you realize that people are watching you, but I also realized I've learned this game already and I've played this game already. So, we're good.
Right. Okay. So your oh hell no moments at one place made you stronger at your current place and know
Correct.
exactly how things go. So that's
Correct.
amazing. I love that. It was such a pleasure and honor having you on this show. I really enjoyed learning about your, story, your company, where you are in life. And I thank you for coming on and sharing that with my listeners. So please tell us how we can keep up with you and find out more about your company. And, you never know who's listening who might want a consultation. So please tell us.
Absolutely. So again, thank you so much for having me. It's been such a pleasure to be on Oh Hell No. But anyone can find me on social media at Honor Your Style across all social media outlets. So Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And then you can also find me at kendraporter.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kendra.
Thank you for listening. Be sure to subscribe and rate the show.